We honor the lands on which Eastrose Fellowship's building sits and those that are home now to our widespread communities. These lands are the traditional village sites of the Multnomah, Wasco, Wishram, Cowlitz, Calumet, Clackamas, bands of Chinook, Tualatin, Kalapuya, Malala, and many other peoples who made their lives here. We thank the original caretakers of this land and their descendants who are among us still. Well, welcome to Eastrose Fellowship Unitarian Universalist worship service. Today, I am Reverend Katie Larcell, and I am your worship leader. It is so very good to know that you are out there on YouTube. A big hello to visitors attending an Eastrose worship service for the first or even the second time. Hey, even the third time, we welcome you. Here are some quick reminders of ways to participate in the service. You will notice some changes from previous practices, a lot of these driven by COVID precautions. If you want to share a joy or concern or an announcement, send us a note in the chat. We will collect all of them and I will read them aloud later in the service. I will be doing joys and concerns fairly soon in the service. We moved it up to make it an earlier part of the service. So if you have something, please let us know. The chat is how you communicate with us. If you're having trouble getting on the chat, Sherry is on duty right now, and she says call her using the office number, or email her at office@eastrose.org. She'll help you out. Finally, after the conclusion of each service, there will be a Zoom cafe conversation time so all can visit. Just exit YouTube and log into the Zoom link provided in Petals or the Eastrose website. This link will also be posted in the YouTube chat near the end of today's service, which, as I've described, that's how you communicate with us. We have speaking in the pulpit today, a former member and now good friend to Eastrose, Jessica Sand. She will be sharing her thoughts on the gift we can give each other of patience, the gift of patience. Jessica Sand is a member of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Vancouver, Washington now. She works in commercial insurance and in her spare time volunteers for Sierra Club and is a regular platelet donor for the American Red Cross, which my understanding is the Red Cross is in dire need of blood donation right now. She enjoys the mindfulness of working in her garden and shares a home with her wife, Tracy, and their 4 cats. Once again, welcome to our online service. Stay safe until we can meet again in person. The call to worship today is a poem written by Thich Nhat Hanh. It's one of my favorite of his poems. Thich Nhat Hanh just recently died. He was 95 years old and had a huge impact on the world. Many people are in great sorrow from his death. He was a great voice for peace, starting with the Vietnam War. As a Vietnamese Buddhist priest, he was one of the people who came west and protested and let us know that Buddhism is also not just a voice for peace, but also an active faith. Please Call Me by My True Names by Thich Nhat Hanh. Don't say that I will depart tomorrow. Even today, I am still arriving. Look deeply. Every second, I'm arriving to be a bud on a spring branch, to be a tiny bird with still fragile wings, learning to sing in my new nest, to be a caterpillar in the heart of a flower, to be a jewel hiding itself in a stone. I still arrive in order to laugh and to cry, to fear and to hope. The rhythm of my heart is the birth and death of all that is alive. I am the mayfly metamorphizing on the surface of the river, and I am the bird that swoops down to swallow the mayfly. I am the frog swimming happily in the clear water of a pond, and I am the grass snake that silently feeds itself on the frog. I'm the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo sticks. And I am the arms merchant, selling deadly weapons to Uganda. I am the 12-year-old girl, refugee on a small boat, who throws herself into the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. And I am the pirate, my heart not yet capable of seeing and loving. I am a member of the Politburo with plenty of power in my hands, and I am the man who has to pay his debt of blood to my people, dying slowly in a forced labor camp. My joy is like spring, so warm it makes flowers bloom all over the earth. My pain is like a river of tears, so vast it fills the 4 oceans. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and my laughter at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. Please call me by my true names, so I can wake up, and so the door of my heart can be left open, the door of compassion. There is a moment in every candle lighting, in every UU service, where the flame is a light in our hand and has not yet touched the candle wick. It mimics the moment we have with each other before we speak hard words, before we answer a child with anger. We have a moment to choose our response. We have a moment to choose how the flame of our words touches the heart of another.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
Snail Girl Brings Water, a Navajo story retold by Jerry Keems. Long ago, it is said, there was a mighty flood, and the people left their world, the fourth world, the underworld, and came up into the fifth world, the world we live in today. They found themselves on the shore of a great ocean. The people broke into groups by clan and went out to find new homes. But at the end of 4 days, they came back to the place by the ocean. "There's no fresh water to drink in this world," they said. They stood by the biggest body of water they had ever seen, but it was salty and they couldn't drink it without getting sick. "What are we going to do?" they asked. First woman stood in front of the people and spoke. "Someone will have to go back down to the old world below, back through the hole from which we emerged, to find some fresh water. If I could have just a little water, I could sing my water song and make many streams and rivers grow." She looked at the people, and her eyes fell on the group that was the Water Clan. "One of you should go," she said. "You should have brought the water with you when we left the old world." Then First Woman made a beautiful water bottle out of seashells. She put a stopper made of red coral in the opening, and she wove some rainbow into a loop to carry it. When she finished, she held it up in front of her and faced the Water Clan. "So, who will go?" she asked. Out of the group came 2 animal people, Otter and Beaver. Otter said, "We're from the Water Clan. We're the best swimmers, and we should be the ones to go." First Woman smiled at them proudly. She hung the water bottle around Otter's neck. Together, Otter and Beaver jumped into the water. They went down, 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 until they reached the bottom and walked along the ocean floor. Soon they came to a valley of water lilies. There were lilies of every color. It was so beautiful that Otter and Beaver decided to stop. Beaver said, "We should take some of these flowers and plant them in our new world." "Good idea," Otter agreed. So Otter put down the bottle, and soon they were both covered from head to toe in water lilies, roots, and vines. When they had gathered all they could, they journeyed back to the world above. When they came up out of the water, the people were surprised. Otter and Beaver looked like two trees coming out of the ocean. "It's us," Otter yelled. The people cried, "Otter and Beaver have come back." Everyone was excited. "Look what we found," Beaver said. "We're going to plant these here in our new home." First Woman anxiously awaited for the bottle. "I've got it," said Otter. "It's here somewhere." But he looked and couldn't find it. "You have it, Cousin Beaver," Otter said. Together they pulled and tugged on the vines and flowers, but they didn't find the bottle. "Oh no," Otter cried. "I think we forgot it down there." Otter's voice got smaller as he realized what they had done. First Woman's eyes narrowed. "This won't do at all. You two go away from here. I don't want to see you for a while." Next, First Woman sent Frog and Turtle to get water. They brought the water bottle back, but when they returned, it was filled with salt water. So First Woman sent them away again too. First Woman was growing weary of the water clan's mistakes. She was not used to being this upset. "We still don't have any fresh water," she said. Someone tugged on her dress. First Woman looked down and saw a thin little girl with long raven black hair. "I'm Snail," the child said in a small, squeaky voice. "I'm from the water clan. I'd like to help my people. I want to go get the water." First Woman looked at the people, and the people looked at each other. Everyone knew that Snail was the slowest swimmer of the water clan. Nobody thought she would make it, but nobody else wanted to go. First Woman nodded. "You are very brave, Snail," she said. And she tied the bottle to Snail Girl's back. Snail slowly slipped into the great waters. She went down, down, down to the land at the bottom, her long black hair flowing behind her. Snail Girl went past the valley of water lilies, past the place where Turtle and Frog had gone. Finally, Snail Girl came to a hole in the sand with bubbles coming out of it. She went into the darkness of this hole, deeper and deeper, back to the fourth world. There she found some pure water. She tasted it, and it was delicious and fresh. There was just enough to fill up the water bottle. She carefully placed the coral stopper tightly in the bottle. She went back up through the hole and made her journey home. The full moon was shining when she returned. She had been gone for such a long time that no one waited for her at the seashore. Slowly, Snail Girl walked up the hill where she made her home. She was so tired that she didn't notice the rainbow loop coming loose and the water bottle falling off her back. She was so worn out that she didn't hear the bottle dragging in the dirt and rocks. She was so sleepy, she didn't notice the water trickling out. Snail Girl went to her home and took the bottle off her back. She looked at it and couldn't believe her eyes. There was a hole in the bottom of the bottle. "Oh no, it's empty," she cried. She was so exhausted, she couldn't even cry. She fell to the ground, fast asleep. First woman woke up from a dream. "I dreamed the snail has returned," she whispered. She ran down to the ocean's edge. She followed Snail Girl's trail up the hill. Halfway up, she saw something shining at her feet in the moonlight. She stopped and reached down to touch it. It was wet. She tasted it. "Fresh water," she said, and she breathed a sigh of relief. Snail did it. First woman began to sing her magic song, and the small drops of pure water began to grow. They turned into a trickle at first, then a stream, then a river. The river got longer and wider and deeper and faster, and soon the biggest river that anyone had ever seen ran down the hill to the ocean. First woman remembered Snail, and she ran to Snail Girl's home and woke her up. Snail opened her weary eyes and saw it was First Woman, and she cried, "All the water is gone. Look at the bottle. There's a hole in it," she began to cry. But First Woman's eyes lit up. "Come with me, Snail," she said, and they went outside. A beautiful river ran down the hill. "You did it, Snail," First Woman said. "You carried the water all the way back from the old world, and even though a hole wore through the bottle as you walked up the hill, I got here in time to take a seed of water and make it grow." She smiled. First Woman spoke, "Snail, you are very brave, and we thank you. From this day on, you will carry the water bottle on your back as a symbol of your great journey. You will leave a trail of moisture behind you everywhere you travel. This will be a message to everyone that our pure water is precious and we must take care of it." And so it was from that day on.
May you be happy.
Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
We will now receive your offering for the support of this religious community and its work in the world. At Eastrose, we share half of our collection with a local nonprofit that helps people in our community. This January, February, and March, our partner organization is SNOCAP, our local food bank. Eastrose helped start SNOCAP decades ago, actually 54 years ago. We are one of its longest supporters. I hope you continue that tradition of supporting SNOCAP, because now in this COVID time, there are a lot of people who need a little help with meals, with diapers, with shampoo, just about anything people need to stay human. So to do that, you will need to scan the QR code or go directly to the Eastrose website. The gifts of the congregation will now be most gratefully received.
Clearing by Martha Postlethwaite. Do not try to save the whole world or do anything grandiose. Instead, create a clearing in the dense forest of your life. And wait there patiently until the song that is your life falls into your own cupped hands and you recognize it and greet it. Only then will you know how to give yourself to this world, so worth of rescue. Good morning. My name is Jessica Sand. Today, I'm sharing some insight about patience. The concept of patience is important, and it affects our daily lives. We've all been there, stuck in a traffic jam. Someone starts honking, how frustrating. But we can totally relate to the person using their horn. Each of us has experienced the impatience about getting to our destination. Or maybe you're a parent or just traveling with children, and you've heard the dreaded question, "Are we there yet?" from a little one who is also growing impatient. You've heard it one too many times, and you've raised your voice in anger. Yes, impatience is a common behavior when things seem to be taking too long or have become more difficult than we expect. My friend Dave recently shared a story about his impatience with his neighbor over a construction of the fence at their shared property line. He lost his temper and became angry. Afterward, he was ashamed of how he handled the situation, and he never addressed the issue. Unfortunately, this colored the relationship as neighbors, and they missed an opportunity to grow their relationship into friendship. Looking back on the incident, he saw clearly how he should have handled the situation differently, with a calm tone and hope for further conversation. In the heat of the moment, though, it can be hard to remember to live our Unitarian Universalist values. I have some tips to share about redirecting feelings of impatience toward a person or situation, but first I want to focus on the concept of patience itself and what our faith and spiritual practice has to offer and teach us. UU theologian Reverend Dr. Rebecca Ann Parker reflected on our first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, with these words: reverence and respect for human nature is at the core of Unitarian Universalist faith. We believe that all dimensions of our being carry the potential to do good. We celebrate the gifts of being human, our intelligence and capacity for observation and reason, our senses and ability to appreciate beauty, our creativity, our feelings and emotions. We cherish our bodies as well as our souls. We can use our gifts to offer love, to work for justice, to heal injury, to create pleasure for ourselves and others. We are all on a journey together, on the same ocean, but perhaps not in the same boat. What I mean by that is we're all coming from a different lived experience, and we do not all have the same resources with which to make our journey. This means that each person may react differently to a similar situation, depending on what they've been dealing with that day, like a flat tire, a past due bill, an argument with a family member, or not feeling well. But we each have inherent worth and dignity. One of the gifts that we can use to offer love, work for justice, heal injury, and create pleasure is the gift of patience. According to Wikipedia, patience is the ability to endure difficult circumstances. Patience may involve perseverance in the face of delay, tolerance of provocation without responding in disrespect or anger, or forbearance when under strain, especially when faced with long-term difficulties. Doctor of Psychiatry and philosopher Neil Burton says, being both useful and difficult, patience is often thought of as a virtue, but it can also be understood as a complex of virtues, including self-control, humility, tolerance, generosity, and mercy, and is itself an important aspect of other virtues such as hope, faith, and love. Patience is, therefore, a paradigm for the ancient notion of the unity of the virtues. Patience involves much more than the mere ability to hold back for some future gain. One also needs to have a plan in place and to work at that plan. And so he goes on, when it comes to others, patience amounts not to the mere restraint or toleration, but to an active, complicit engagement in their struggle and welfare. In that way, patience is a form of compassion, which, rather than disrespecting and alienating people, turns them into friends and allies. That last bit really struck me. When it comes to others, patience amounts to active, complicit engagement in their struggle and welfare. If we want to give the gift of patience, we have to engage with others where they are in the moment. It is about making the choice in how we react in response to someone or something difficult or annoying. Remember the saying, before you judge a man, walk a mile in his shoes. Alternatively, we sometimes judge ourselves too harshly. Giving patience to ourselves means embracing ourselves with self-compassion and choosing to focus on progress rather than perfection. Patience as an act of self-compassion. Dr. Kristen Neff, a self-compassion expert and associate professor of human development, created a self-compassion mantra, something she repeated to herself in a meditative way. This is a moment of suffering. Suffering is part of life. May I be kind to myself in this moment. May I give myself the compassion I need. Making the choice to be patient isn't always easy in our culture, which has become so accustomed to instant gratification. In thinking about ways to develop patience, instead of a mantra, I created a list of 4 steps. After discussion with my wife about this topic, she helped me create a diagram which illustrates what I call the pathway to patience, or peace. I'm going to share a story which illustrates the pathway to patience, or peace, and how I managed to take these steps unconsciously at the time toward achieving a goal when I was becoming impatient after making a mistake. The steps are: 1, take 10 seconds to pause. 2, have empathy or sympathy relating to this situation. 3, feel compassion, which is defined as suffering with the other person or yourself. And 4, find patience or let it go. Several years ago, I decided to learn the craft of crochet, making stitches by hooking yarn in a pattern to create a scarf, blanket, or garment. Crochet is a hobby I enjoy very much. However, as a beginner, I almost gave it up. I taught myself by watching video tutorials on YouTube. I began by learning how to hold the hook, yarn over, and pull up a loop. Initially, it was hard to match my movements with the teacher. My crochet piece was crooked because my tension was off, or too short because I dropped stitches without realizing it. This was very frustrating. The teacher on the video made it look so easy. I'd start over and keep making the same mistakes. But I was determined. I told myself that every expert was once a beginner. I kept trying. I had to give myself empathy by treating myself with kindness. Many of us have been conditioned to be highly critical of our mistakes. We may be far tougher on ourselves than on our friends and coworkers. Eventually, I got the hang of the simplest stitch, single crochet. Then I tried some more intermediate level stitches. Occasionally, I would notice I made an error after making multiple rows. When this happened, there was no other choice but to pull out all the stitches I had made after making the mistake. All that work was wasted. I heard my inner voice say, "What is wrong with you? Why can't you get it?" I needed to practice self-compassion, being warm and understanding toward myself when I suffer, fail, or feel inadequate, rather than berating myself. After taking a break, referring back to the pattern instructions, and searching for some tips online, I finally figured out my error, and I was able to complete the project. Success! I accomplished my goal, and I got there by being patient with myself. Later, I tried a difficult pattern, which involved crocheting around a square and lots of counting intricate stitches. After trying again and again and pulling out many, many stitches, I gave up and let it go. That project is wadded up in a bag in the closet, unfinished. But I'm fine with it. I'm at peace. Let's review the steps in the pathway to patience or peace that I took after feeling impatient, annoyed, frustrated, irritated. I took 10 seconds to calm down, walk away, a good time to get a drink of water, and empathize with the struggle of being a beginner and trying to learn something completely foreign to me by myself. I found compassion in understanding that sometimes I'm too hard on myself, which led me to patience to find the solution, or in the case of the difficult pattern project, to peace in letting go. Here's another way to find patience or peace in a difficult setting. Remember that feeling of being stuck in traffic, time is ticking, stress is mounting, and patience is being tested to the point of anger? Pema Chodron, an American Buddhist nun, has a simple, on-the-spot compassion practice. Recognizing that your safety zone gets challenged, we're willing to feel our own pain and make the leap of recognizing that for other people, it's the same for them. She recommends that in times of discomfort, we look around us and say, just like me, these people have somewhere to go. Just like me, they feel trapped and frustrated. Just like me, that person doesn't want to suffer. Just like me, she doesn't want hatred coming towards her. As a result of compassion practice, we start to have a deeper understanding of the roots of suffering. We aspire not only that the outer manifestations of suffering decrease, but also that all of us could stop acting and thinking in ways that escalate ignorance and confusion. She goes on, we aspire to be free of fixation and closed-mindedness. We aspire to dissolve the myth that we are separate. I do this sort of thing in all kinds of situations, at the breakfast table, in the meditation hall, at the dentist's office. Standing in the checkout line at the market, I might notice a defiant teenager in front of me and make the aspiration, may he be free of suffering and its causes. In the elevator with a stranger, I might notice her shoes, her hands, the expression on her face. I contemplate that just like me, she doesn't want stress in her life. Just like me, she has worries. Through our hopes and fears, our pleasures and pains, we are deeply interconnected. Recently, I participated in a trauma-informed care training sponsored by the Family Promise of Clark County called Adversity to Resilience. The idea behind this training is to recognize trauma's impact on communication, thinking, and relationships. Trauma-informed care is important because 1 in 5 adults have experienced at least one traumatic event in their lives. Adverse childhood experiences are common and range from household dysfunction to abuse and neglect. Other traumas include serious injury, violence, personal tragedy, and loss. Sometimes people who have experienced trauma suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. And these symptoms can come and go. Certain triggers can set off PTSD, which bring back strong memories, almost like reliving the trauma. We can use the gift of patience and understanding by taking time to listen and give space when someone is enduring PTSD symptoms such as anxiety, withdrawal, and confusion. Reminding ourselves, just like me, this person is on a journey. There are many opportunities at every stage of life to remedy the negative effects of trauma, and help other people and ourselves heal from adversity. As Unitarian Universalist Associate President, Reverend Susan Frederick Gray puts it, to take care of others, we must take care of ourselves. Building resilience is a skill that could help. According to Dr. Michael Unger of the Resilience Research Center, resilience is the capacity of individuals to navigate their way to the psychological, social, cultural, and physical resources that sustain their well-being, and their capacity individually and collectively to negotiate these resources to be provided in culturally meaningful ways. Some of the ways to build resilience include making connections and accepting help and support from those who care about you. Accepting that change is a part of living and change is hard. Maintaining a hopeful outlook enables you to expect good things will happen in your life. Try visualizing what you want rather than worrying about what you fear. Understanding trauma's effects can help people better relate to each other, cope with stress, and overcome challenges. We may not have gone through what someone else has experienced, but we can sympathize with them. This training got me thinking about our present collective trauma of the COVID-19 pandemic. What our community has gone through has been a shock to our system, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. We've experienced fear, isolation, illness, and some of us have experienced depression and loss. It can feel overwhelming. Our world has been changed, and it will never be the same. It will take time to heal. Humans don't get over trauma like this quickly. We need to allow space to feel and process our emotions. David Fireman, a grief counselor, says, "Time is not a healer. The passage of time may take the edge off acute pain, but it does not heal pain. On the other hand, time can be used well for healing purposes. It is inner work coupled with courage and honesty that heals all wounds." I would add, and perhaps a little patience. And so I offer up this prayer. Spirit of community in which we share and find strength and common purpose. We turn our minds and hearts towards one another, seeking to bring into our circle of concern all who need love and support, those who are in pain, either in body or in spirit, those who are lonely, those who have been wronged. We are part of a web of life that makes us one with all humanity, one with all the universe. We are grateful for the miracle of consciousness that we share, the consciousness that gives us the power to remember, to love, and to care. And to all of you, I offer the gift of patience to care for others and yourselves. Ashe, amen, and blessed be.
Blessed Spirit of my life, give me strength through stress and strife. Help me live with dignity. Let
we extinguish this chalice with the same care with which we lit it, aware of the power of our words and the power of our actions. We take a breath and then act with gratitude and intent.
Friends, may you go forth into your week, making connections, offering and accepting help where needed, building your resilience for this changing world with patience and love.
And now announcements. I received one from David Delk from First Church. He says, gun violence becomes a more serious and dangerous problem all the time, but we can take action now to reduce the danger. Lift Every Voice Oregon, a coalition of faith leaders, has written 2 initiative petitions for the November 2022 ballot with the aim of reducing gun violence. You can sign these now. You can print a single signature petition sheet, one for each initiative, sign and mail from the comfort of your own home. Please check the Lift Every Voice Oregon website for easy instructions on how to do this. Our final announcement is our next service on February 6th will have Reverend Patty Pomerantz in the pulpit, and she will be speaking about the Transcendentalists.